Morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, I can. Yes.
All right, call the case.
Good morning, everyone. We are on the record for 20 miscellaneous 000381, Wendy Erickson versus Bruce Erickson.
Morning, counsel. Will you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. John Prettyman of counsel to the firm Krause and Hummel on behalf of the plaintiff. And I'm also joined in this conference room by John Walden and Francesco Boncaldo and attorney Robert Krause.
John Field for the defendants, Your Honor.
John Entner for the defendants as well, Your Honor.
So our game plan for today is we'll continue with Ms. Erickson at 10 o'clock. We've got Ms. Kama, is that right?
She does have the Zoom login information to come in at 10, Your Honor.
Okay. And then when we're done with her, we'll go back to Ms. Erickson, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything you want to discuss about exhibits or anything else before we start?
The only thing I would just briefly put on the record, Your Honor, is we will be submitting, and I spoke to Attorney Fiegel about this yesterday. I believe we will be submitting a motion in limine for tomorrow's testimony of the Town of Danvers building inspector.
Why?
The reason being is that we were served with documents purporting to be certified by the town on July, I believe, 7th, prior to trial. And I believe those documents are going to be substantially what he is expected to testify about. I presume they were subpoenaed because they're certified by the town. I was not copied on the subpoena, and it's over a year after the discovery deadline, and we got them less than 2 weeks before the trial.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Your Honor, do you want me to chip in on that?
You may speak on that.
Sure. Yes, we anticipate calling the Town of Danvers. I believe he's the building commissioner. And this is the file that the town has. And in order to have that present for the purposes of his examination, we got a certified copy ahead of time and put that into the record so that we would be able to share that document with the court during the examination.
Yeah, what about opposing counsel? You want to share it with him?
He has a copy of it, Your Honor. The subpoena for the Town of Danvers was provided to him.
I did receive a subpoena for his trial testimony. I did not receive a copy of the subpoena for the records, is what I was referring to.
I see. Okay.
If I may, Your Honor.
Hold on.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, well, I mean, certainly he's on the witness list. Go ahead.
The records that we have that are certified copies that were included as a potential contested exhibit and that brother counsel has a copy of weren't gotten by subpoena. We just went to the Town of Danvers and asked for a certified copy of that particular file. And I believe the trial subpoena does request that he bring with him all documents that the building department has for that file. So that's, a common trial practice is to subpoena a keeper of records and ask them to bring what they have.
All right, well, I guess I'll hear the motion when it comes. So I advised you guys yesterday, only one attorney at a time for a witness. It's also true for motions. Between the two of you, one of you can speak on a motion and I'll hear from you. I'm not you don't get to go back and forth. You can pass each other notes or something. Okay?
Fair.
So,
Your Honor, can I say something? Robert
Who's that?
Kraus.
yes, Attorney Kraus.
Again, I'm not trying to irritate the court, but today, when we go back to Wendy, are we going to still have this tandem action by?
Yes, I said they could do it for this
Okay.
witness. So don't keep asking, please.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right. We're continuing with Ms. Erickson.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Erickson, are you alone in the room?
Yeah, they left.
And do you have anything from this case in front of you?
No, I don't.
Just a reminder, you're still under oath.
Yeah.
You may continue, Attorney President.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I believe yesterday I previously asked the court to mark for identification exhibit WW, and I believe the first page of it was subsequently admitted as 29-1. So I'd like to put that back up on my screen.
I think that's right. I just want to check my notes. You're right. Okay.
And Your Honor, as you requested, oh, sorry, I'm just going to address quickly. I did spend time with my client trying to resolve whatever that echo or feedback issue is. We messed with the settings on Zoom a little bit, and I believe we were able to get it better, but it still didn't appear to be 100% resolved. So I do apologize for that. I did speak with Attorney Fiegel after trial yesterday, and my understanding is that photos will be allowed in. They do not need to be authenticated, but Attorney Fiegel, I believe, is still looking for testimony on foundation, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Fiegel.
No, that's fine.
Okay. And we were talking about just the photos, not the notes on the pages.
Right. Correct.
So Wendy, I believe we already went through this first page, so I'm going to scroll down to page 2. Do you recognize the photograph on my screen?
I do.
What are we looking at in this photograph?
My handicapped toilet in the bathroom.
And when was this particular toilet installed?
I'm gonna say 2018. It's recent.
And why do you think this one is recent?
Because the handle's on the left, and I really didn't want. I ordered the wrong one. It's easier if it's on the right side. I'm not very happy with it, but I remember that's the previous one.
And what is it about, and what is it about this particular toilet that makes it a necessity?
It's the right height, so I can get back off it by grabbing the handbar. And it washes me because my hands don't work.
Understood. Wendy, did you pay for this toilet?
Yes.
And what was the toilet that was in this bathroom prior to this one?
It was one like that. I bought one before. I had to get a new top, and the part that washes you, the parts were different. So they had to take the parts in the tank out to make that work. So I had to buy a whole new toilet.
Your Honor, I'd like to enter page 2 of Exhibit 29 onto the record.
Counsel?
Subject to the stipulations, no writing, no objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Number 2 is admitted as Exhibit 29-2 without the handwriting. So all the photos were admitted without the handwritten notes.
That is understood. Wendy, I'm now on page 3 of this exhibit. Can you tell me what we're looking at in this photograph?
That's my attic, pull down, the stairs come down so you can go up there. Like on a spring.
And when was this particular door installed?
It was a few years ago, 2015.
And why is it that this particular door was installed?
The older one broke.
And who was it that installed this door?
My PCA, Marilyn, her boyfriend, Joe did it. I hired him to do it because he was a carpenter.
And what is Joe's last name?
I don't remember.
Wendy, did you pay for this attic door?
I did.
And you said you paid for its installation?
I did.
Your Honor, subject to the stipulation, I would like to enter page 3 of Exhibit 29 onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
3 is admitted as Exhibit 29-3.
Wendy, on page 4 of this exhibit, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
What are we looking at in this photograph?
My kitchen slider window.
Did you pay for this window?
I did.
And why did you purchase a new window for your kitchen?
The older ones were made of wood with the rope and the lead weights, and I believe the lead weight or the rope rotted and the windows wouldn't open. It just needed to be replaced.
And do you know when this window was replaced?
Yeah, it was after my accident. 2006.
Did you pay for this window to be installed?
I did.
Your Honor, I'd like to enter page 4 of what's been marked for identification, Exhibit WW, onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 4 is admitted as Exhibit 29-4.
Wendy, I'm now on page 5 of this exhibit, and there's a photograph on the right. Let's start with that. Can you tell me what we're looking at in this photograph?
That's my living room.
And is there anything in this picture that shows an improvement that you've made to your property?
I installed a new carpet in the living room.
And do you recall, oh, sorry.
And the window's new. I installed the window.
Do you recall approximately when the carpet was put in this photo?
That was after my accident, so I'm gonna say 2004 or 5.
Did you pay for the materials to have this carpet installed?
Yes.
Did you pay for the labor to have this carpet installed?
Yes. Mark Foglietta did it.
And you mentioned the windows in this photo, or sorry, singular window in this photo is new. Was that window paid for by you?
Yes.
Did you also pay for its installation?
I did.
Wendy, when you've referenced now twice, at least twice, about windows in your house. Did you replace more than one window at one time?
No, maybe one or two.
Do you know when you started the process of replacing the windows?
I'm going to say from the time I started living here.
And you would do one or two at a time?
Correct.
Did you purchase all of those windows from the same place?
Yeah, the man across the street does vinyl and window. He would replace windows or install windows or do vinyl on your house. John Salvinelli did it. I'm going to say he did most of them. Oh, and the back porch, a handyman did the back porch.
Okay. Do you recall the name of the handyman that did the back porch?
Not off the top of my head right now, no.
Wendy, on this page, there are also some checks listed. Can you tell me what these checks represent? And I can scroll down if you need to.
Oh, the Elm Park flooring is Mark Foglietta's company. That's for the living room rug. Danvers Electric. Natacha for the tax bill. Natacha Erickson. Salem News, I think that was for the newspaper. Beverly National. Target. That was to pay the Target bill on my red card.
Your Honor, excluding the notes and check number 7079, 7076, and the top entry, I would like to enter page 5 onto the record.
Your Honor, we have no objection to the entry of the check specifically listed by brother counsel being excluded and the other checks coming in. However, subject to our stipulation from yesterday regarding check 7078 coming in as payment, but not as to the amount.
Right, okay. So number 5 will be admitted with respect to the photograph in checks 7077, 7078, and 7079. Is that right?
No, Your Honor. 7079 we object to as mass health, but I believe.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
7080. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So let me say it again. So number 5 comes in for the photograph and check 7077 and 7078 and 7080. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, and that would be exhibit 29-5.
Wendy, I'm now on page 6 of this exhibit. Can you tell me what we're looking at in this photograph?
That's my roll-in shower.
And where is this roll-in shower located in your house?
In my bedroom.
And when was this roll-in shower constructed or renovated or added?
The summer of 2004.
And how do you recall that it was in the summer of 2004?
It was after my accident. They built that so I could come home from the hospital.
And who was in charge of building this shower?
The Danvers National Little League, some of the baseball coaches were carpenters, and they constructed it with the fundraiser money.
Your Honor, I'd like to add just the photograph on page 6 onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 6 is admitted as Exhibit 29-6.
Wendy, on page 7 of this exhibit, can you tell me what we're looking at in this photograph?
That's my sump pump.
And when was this particular sump pump installed?
2014.
And how many sump pumps before this one have you had installed at the property?
I'd say there was the original one was replaced, and then there was another maybe 2008. So this would be the third one.
And for each sump pump that was replaced, did you purchase those materials?
No.
And who did purchase those materials?
I believe my mom bought one back in 2008, or she gave me the money for it because I was telling her it broke.
And this one that we're looking at the picture of, who purchased this sump pump?
I bought this one because I was afraid. We got a lot of snow, and there was so much snow almost up to my garage roof. I was afraid when it melted, all the water was going to go back in my basement again if that failed. So I didn't want to take a chance.
So the previous sump pump was still working. This was just a precautionary replacement?
I guess so. It's just, it was older. So I was just making sure.
And did you pay for the installation of this sump pump in the photograph?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I'd like to enter just the photograph on page 7 onto the record.
No objection to the photo, Your Honor.
Number 7 is admitted as Exhibit 29-7.
Wendy, the photograph on page 8 of this exhibit, can you tell me what we're looking at here?
Water heater downstairs.
And how old is this particular water heater?
It looks like, I'm not sure when we first installed it. That's the older one. I know there's another one.
Can you speak up, Ms. Erickson?
I'm going to say it's 10 years old.
So the one in the photograph, is this not the current water heater in your house?
I'm sorry, I haven't been down the basement in a long time.
I totally understand. Let me ask it a different way. Since you said this one you believe is approximately 10 years old, since that time, have you had a new water heater installed?
Yes, we downsized to a 40-gallon. I'm not sure if that's the 40-gallon, that's a picture of the old one or the new one that was replaced.
And approximately when did you have a new water heater put in?
I'm gonna say Levi here, about 6-7 years ago.
And did you pay for the new water heater?
No, my son worked at the Danvers Hardware and he bought it, but I installed it.
So you did pay for its installation?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to enter just the photograph from page 8 into the record.
We would object to that, Your Honor. She's unclear as to whether this is the current water heater. She hasn't positively identified the water heater or given details about the photograph that would lead us to believe it's the current water heater or the past water heater.
Overruled. Number 8 submitted is Exhibit 29-8.
Your Honor, I'm going to be skipping page 9.
Mhm.
And Wendy, I'm now on page 10. Can you tell me what we're looking at in these two photographs?
My front door and my back door.
And the doors in these photographs, are these the current doors on your house?
Correct.
And when were these doors respectively put in?
I would say around 2000. My boyfriend Jay installed them.
Were both of them installed at around the same time?
Yes.
Were they purchased by you?
Yes, I picked them out.
Your Honor, I'd like to enter just the photographs from page 10 onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 10 submitted is Exhibit 29-10.
Wendy, I'm now on page 11. Can you tell me what we're looking at in this photograph?
My front hall.
And is there anything in this picture that was an improvement by you?
Yes, we replaced the floor many times. It's not level underneath, and we finally found some tiles, some VTech tiles that would stay down.
So is it the tile floor in this photograph that was an improvement that you made?
Yes.
And approximately when was this tile floor installed?
I'm gonna say, I'm not quite sure exactly. 2015.
Did you purchase these tiles?
Yes, I have many boxes of them. I was planning on going right into the kitchen.
Did you pay for the installation of these tiles?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to enter onto the record page 11.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 11 is admitted as 29-11.
Wendy, I now have page 12 on my screen. And I'm just going to go through a selection of the checks on this screen, okay?
Okay.
Should we pause for
Oh,
Ms. Kama?
yes, I did not see the
About
time.
10 o'clock.
Is she present, Your Honor, in the waiting
No.
room?
Is Ms. Kama waiting in the Zoom room? If she is, you can admit her.
Yes, I'll let her in now.
All right, thank you. You can take that down, counsel.
Understood. I apologize, the stop share button has disappeared. But I presume you can all still see my screen?
There we go. That's
Okay,
Sorry, I just did that to take care of it.
thank you.
all right. I guess, now remember, whoever starts examining this witness is the one who sticks with the witness to the end.
Understood, Your Honor.
Call the witness, please.
Yes, defense calls Kelly Kama.
Ms. Kama, would you raise your right hand to be sworn?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Could you state your name, please?
Kelly, comma.
Ms. Kama, are you alone in the room that you're in?
I am.
Do you have any materials relating to this case in front of you?
No, I do not.
You may proceed, Attorney Fiegel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Kama, we have met before via Zoom, and I understand you're quite busy with your marriage preparations today. So I thank you for attending. Could you state your address for the record?
146 Court Street, Unit 203, Brockton, Massachusetts, 02302.
And your, obviously, marital status?
Single right now, as of today.
And is your fiance an attorney?
No, he's not.
And what's the highest degree of education that you've achieved?
I have a master's degree.
In what?
Law.
Do you have a Juris Doctorate?
I do not.
Did you attend law school?
I did not.
And what is your current employment?
I am an executive assistant to a chief scientific officer in biotech.
And where's the location of that?
It's in Waltham.
Okay. And how long have you been working there?
A year.
And do you have any previous legal work?
I mean, pertaining to my schooling, sure. Like we had internships, we had
I'll strike the question. It's fine.
Okay.
Do you have any previous employment experience in the legal field?
I do.
And what is that?
I was an attorney development specialist with Ropes and Gray for 1 year.
Okay. And do you have any other relevant employment in the field of being a mediator?
Aside from my schoolwork and having to do that for my legal studies, no, I do not.
And do you hold any professional licenses?
No.
And aside from the emails that you've had from me regarding scheduling your testimony for today, have you had any contact with any of the parties or attorneys in this matter?
When I got served, I left a voicemail for Attorney Prettyman, but we did not connect via email or by phone.
And you're appearing today, excuse me.
No, I heard from you, and that was all I needed. It was pertaining to scheduling.
Okay. And you're appearing here under subpoena today, is that correct?
Correct.
How long have you known Wendy Erickson?
That's an excellent question. Her son started dating my sister 10 years ago, and they've been married now for 5 years.
What's the son's name?
Levi Stanley.
So Levi is dating is married to your sister?
He's married to my sister.
And that makes you Wendy's daughter-in-law?
No. I have no relation to Wendy at all.
Okay. So how were you introduced to Wendy Erickson?
The first time I met her was probably at a family function when they started dating and what have you. I'm sure that's how we ran into each other.
And when was that?
Like I said, I think Levi's been around for 10 years. He's been married to my sister for 5. So I don't know. I'm not super, super close with that side of the family.
Were you hired by Wendy Erickson?
I was asked to mediate, but no money was exchanged.
And who asked you to mediate for him?
My sister said to ask Wendy if she needed help, essentially. Like Wendy was just upset about what was happening. She didn't know. She was intimidated. And my sister asked me if I could get in touch with Wendy and see if I could help her. And I just made a phone call to Wendy to help her out.
And what is your sister's name?
Christina Stanley.
And what was her maiden name?
Janes.
Could you spell that for the record?
Jaynes.
Thank you. And have you previously been involved in any mediations?
More so for family law, to assist those that had questions about child support, custody issues, things of that nature. Sure.
Do you have any licensing as a mediator?
There is no licensing in the state for mediation. No. It was always on a friendly basis, no money exchanged.
And we've covered this already, but you're not an attorney, is that correct?
Stated multiple times, I am not an attorney.
And when you provide your mediation services, do you have a fee agreement?
No, and you're saying provide mediation services. Again, It's not like that. I do not run a business. I do not operate a business. I do not accept any money. No, it's some people just say, you know, Kelly, I need advice on X, Y, and Z. It's you're formalizing it. It's not a formal thing by any means.
Right. Your Honor, I would like to introduce Exhibit A3, or excuse me, H3 for identification, and put that up on my screen.
Mm-hmm.
One moment, please. And can you see this, Ms. Kama?
I can.
All right. And I'll just note for the record that the Exhibit 4 there was added as a deposition exhibit number, not the actual exhibit for this with regards to the court. So do you recognize this exhibit, Ms. Kama?
I do.
And could you identify this document?
Looks like an email.
Can we scroll through all the way through? Is this an email that you wrote to the parties at the top of the email here?
Correct. Yep.
And can you identify who those parties are by the email addresses?
Wendy is on there, as is Bruce.
Okay. And that, to me, is that an email you emailed to yourself?
Yes, it looks that way.
Your Honor, I'd like to introduce, have this admitted as exhibit, I don't know what we're at, 31 maybe?
That would be the next number, I believe.
Yeah.
Attorney Freeman?
Your Honor, I would object to the extent that this is hearsay. I mean, it's attempting to prove the truth of what it's stating.
Yeah, I think there's some issues with this, Attorney Fiegel. I'm going to sustain the objection, but you can still examine her about it.
Could I have a brief sidebar, Your Honor?
Sure. Rochelle, are you there? There we go. Okay.
Sorry, I just had to set it up.
Let's wait for Attorney Prettyman.
Are we back on, Your Honor?
So after sidebar, reconsidered my ruling, the objection is overruled on the basis that Ms. Kama appears to be acting as the agent for Ms. Erickson. So it becomes a statement for a party opponent. So H3 is admitted as Exhibit 31.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Kama, I'm going to ask you to read some of these. Now, you can read these, some of the content of this email. You can read it to yourself because we can all read ourselves. So if you could read that first sentence or that first paragraph to yourself and just let me know when you've completely read it.
I've read it.
So in that first statement, you say, I am writing on your behalf I am writing to you on behalf of my client, Wendy Erickson. Now, in what way did you represent Ms. Erickson?
I representing her as essentially a voice. Really, she was intimidated and scared, and she asked me to. Essentially, she was asking me to just speak on her behalf. She was terrified at the time.
And if you could read that second sentence, or I'm sorry, that second paragraph to yourself and let me know.
Yep.
And why were you asking for the phone numbers for Danielle Erickson?
Is she not the owner of the home? I thought.
I'm sorry, I'm asking the questions. Why were you asking?
I was under the
answer. That was the answer. So let's.
Okay. And is this, ma'am, is this email addressed to Eva Erickson?
I believe so, yes.
Well, does it say good afternoon, Eva, at the top of the page?
It does, yep.
And do you recall any of the correspondence referenced in the second paragraph of this email?
If I'm being truthful, no, I do not.
And were you working exclusively for Wendy Erickson at this time?
When you say working for, can you clarify?
Fair. Were you working exclusively on Wendy's behalf as far as being her mediator at this time?
You mean holding no other job, or?
In whatever capacity you acted as a mediator, were you acting for others as mediators at this time?
No, it was she just asked me to help, no.
And if we could go to the second page. Could you read that first paragraph to yourself and let me know when you're ready?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in this paragraph, it seems that you're making reference to an eviction moratorium. Is that correct?
Yes, she was being treated as a tenant and she needed time. So I referenced the moratorium.
And in this paragraph, you say, quote, I will be filing a formal legal complaint with the Attorney General's office against both you and Danielle.
Correct.
Why would you be doing that?
That was something anybody can do. It was something that was set up during the pandemic, where if there was anybody that was a landlord or anybody that was moving forward or trying to move forward with eviction procedures and what have you, they could contact the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General would get involved on their behalf and help them, because I'm not an attorney. So that was the recourse that Wendy had at that point to make sure she could stay in her home until things were figured out.
Did anyone else? Okay, so did Wendy Erickson pay you for your service?
No money was ever.
Did anyone else pay you for your services?
No, sir.
You can take this one down. Your Honor, I would like to submit exhibit H1 to be marked as, or for identification as H1.
Okay.
Do you have that up there? Great. Again, I'll represent that this exhibit 5 was from a deposition. So, Ms. Kama, do you recognize this document?
I do.
And what is this document?
It looks like it was an email. I was under the, it looks like I was under the impression that I didn't realize that Daniela and Eva were the homeowners. So it seemed like I was trying to get in touch with the wrong person.
But you wrote this email?
I did.
Okay, these series of emails, I should say.
Yep.
And is this a true and accurate copy of this email?
It is.
Your Honor, I move to admit this as Exhibit 32.
Attorney Prettyman?
Your Honor, subject to your last ruling, I have no objection.
Right. This is Exhibit 32.
And so moving to looking at this email, Ms. Kama, there's two sets of emails, it seems. Is the first, or is the email at the bottom of the page the first email in time?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Well, maybe we'll just break it down a little bit then. So going down to the second email, starting where it says on Tuesday, June 2nd.
Yep.
Is this the first email in the chain?
I believe so.
If we scroll back to the top, is it clear looking at the dates?
It looks that way, yes.
Okay. And so what is the date and time for the first email in the chain at the bottom there?
June 2nd, 1:02 p.m.
And in this email, if you could read the first paragraph to yourself and let me know when you've read it.
Yes, I read it.
And who are the Stanleys?
Well, Wendy's kids are all Stanleys. So her son Levi, my sister is Christina Stanley. So the Stanley family.
And so when you say you were retained in this email by the Stanley family, which Stanleys are those?
Well, I've always looked at Wendy as a Stan. She has a different last name, but Wendy and Levi, essentially.
And was Levi living at the home at 19 Crane Street at that time?
No.
Okay. No. In the last sentence in that first paragraph, it says that Ms. Erickson is indeed looking forward to purchasing this home.
Mm-hmm.
Did Wendy Erickson tell you that she was looking forward to purchasing the home?
She was, yes.
Did Wendy Erickson tell you that she wanted to buy 19 Crane Street?
She did.
And if we look at the second paragraph, could you read that to yourself and let me know when you're finished?
Yes.
Do you know if Wendy Erickson contacted any realtors or real estate brokers?
I am not sure if she did. I don't know.
And in that same paragraph, you state the home may have some structural issues. Mm-hmm. Are you aware of what those structural issues are?
I was not given any specifics with those issues.
Were you given any non-specifics?
Just that the house was in rough shape. Literally, I was told the house is in rough shape. That was all I was told, and that there were some concerns of possible structural issues. That was told to me.
And the last part of that, it seems that you're discussing a counteroffer.
Correct.
Do you know if Wendy ever made a counteroffer on the home?
I'm not sure if he did. I was so far removed at that point.
Your Honor, I would object to that last question and move to strike the answer. If that were the case, it would be settlement discussions.
No, she said she didn't know, so it's a moot point. It's overruled.
And Ms. Comet, in this same paragraph, it says that Ms. Erickson will not be signing the draft offer you sent and is declining the purchase offer of $425,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Do you know why Ms. Erickson declined that offer?
There were two reasons that she declined the offer. One, there was a purchase and sales. I didn't lay eyes on it or see it, but I was told there was a purchase and sales where she would have to come up with $38,000 cash within a few weeks. And then the purchase price was a Zillow estimate. It's an estimate that Zillow gives. It was just a number.
Sorry, you have to repeat that. You dropped out there.
I'm sorry. So I'll go back to I'll answer again. So there were two reasons. One, and again, I did not lay eyes on this document, but there was a purchase and sales agreement that Bruce had drafted, and he was asking for $38,000 or something in that ballpark within 2 weeks to get the ball rolling, and that was a little bit much. And then the purchase price of $425,000 was derived from Zillow. It was just an estimate. He had not had from what my understanding, I don't know, but he'd not had any realtors come in or get a fair market value. So she didn't feel like the house was worth $425,000. So that was why she declined.
And if you could read the third paragraph in that last email to yourself and let me know when you're done.
Read.
Who told you that Ekaterina Erickson was the owner of the property?
Wendy.
And the next sentence, given that she owns the property, the rent payment should be sent directly to her. Was that rental payment reference to be going to Miss Ekaterina Erickson?
I believe so. I believe so.
Who told you that the payment was rent?
That's a great question. I just know that the taxes were paid directly, like every month, and it was almost like rent, essentially. I don't know. I don't recall. It's been a while.
And in the final sentence, it says, Ms. Erickson has some tenant concerns she would like to speak with the homeowner about with regard to maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that's the second to last sentence. I'm sorry. What were the tenant concerns that Ms. Erickson had at that time?
My understanding was that there was an impending mold issue, that there were concerns with the roof, and Ms. Erickson had been maintaining that home single-handedly. So she was basically saying, like, if I'm a tenant, then shouldn't this be taken care of? So those are
sorry.
Okay.
I know we've said this before, but what is the time on that first email? We just
1:02 p.m.
All right. And so going up to that latter email in time, which is at the top of the page, could you read the date and time for that one?
Yep. June 2nd, 1:09 p.m.
And what's the difference in minutes between the first email and the second one?
There's 7 minutes.
And could you read that email to yourself and let me know when you're done?
I've read it. I reviewed it.
And who's the recipient of this email?
Bruce.
Sorry, who was, the recipient?
Yes, sorry about that, Tony.
Bruce, thank you. My apologies.
And who is CC'd on this?
My sister and her husband.
And which one is your sister's email?
KJ1232.
And the other is who?
Her husband, Levi, Wendy's son.
Okay. And so in this email, it says that Danielle and Eva Erickson are the actual homeowners. Is that correct?
Correct.
Who informed you in the 7 minutes between this first email at 1:02 p.m. and this second email at 1:09 p.m. that Eva and Danielle were the actual title holders?
I don't remember. It could have been Wendy. It could have been my sister. I don't know, but it was obviously quick. I don't know who it was.
But someone communicated that to you within those 7 minutes.
I believe so.
And so I'm assuming you wouldn't know how they found out about that.
I don't.
Overruled. You can answer.
I don't know how anyone would know that.
Were any of the Stanleys interested in owning the property?
No.
I don't have any further questions at this time, Your Honor, but I'd reserve a redirect.
Okay, Cross.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Robert Kraus here. Can we have just a 2-minute break? Okay.
Sure. That's no problem. We'll come back in 5 minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Wendy, just make sure you mute your microphone.
All right, let's come back on the record. Attorney Priedemann.
Thank you. Ms. Kama, my name is John Priedemann. I think we met briefly during a deposition previously. But I'm here on behalf of the plaintiff, Wendy Erickson, today. You mentioned during your testimony, I believe you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Wendy was terrified when she contacted you?
Correct.
Why was Wendy terrified?
She had just lost her mother 4 days prior, and she was very close to her. So she was in the process of grieving. And then the thought of having to handle a situation with the only home that she's known for 20 years had her reeling. She was in a tailspin, just hysterical.
And you mentioned when you were talking about your, I believe you used the term representation, but you said you represented Wendy as a voice. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. Yep.
Why is it that you felt that Wendy needed representation as a voice?
I mean, anyone with half a heart would know that she's handicapped. She's been in that home for 20 plus years. That's where she raised her kids, and she was not anticipating having this. She never thought in a million years this was the last thing that she thought would happen, and she was blindsided. And you can't turn away from somebody that is that vulnerable, and she did not know how to articulate. She does not know how to, handle things like this, and she was, quite frankly, very intimidated. And she just asked me if I would help her, and I said sure.
Did she tell you why she was intimidated?
She was intimidated because this was not behavior she expected out of her brother. She trusted him wholeheartedly, and she was, and now that this was all happening and so quickly, she was very intimidated. She does not know anything about the process. She does not know anything about real estate. She does not that I do either, but I have research capacities. She doesn't. She just didn't know how to do anything, and she was terrified.
Did Wendy tell you why this blindsided her? Yes.
She mentioned that she had previously worked for her brother in years past, that he'd managed her financials. So she was blindsided because she had always assumed that home was purchased for her by her mother, is what she told me. And she did not understand how this could have happened. She was completely blindsided by this whole thing.
Ms. Kama, did you ever consult with an attorney while you were speaking with Ms. Erickson?
No.
Did you ever perform any sort of a title search on the property?
No.
Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness.
Brief redirect.
Yes.
Ms. Kama, how did you communicate with Wendy Erickson?
Usually over the phone. That was what she was most comfortable with.
Did you communicate with her by computer, email?
She was CC'd on emails, but rarely. It was mostly by phone.
What about text messages?
Mostly by phone, by speaking.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Any recross, Attorney Priedemann?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Kama. You may go.
Thank you.
So we're going to continue with Ms. Erickson now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Sorry, I just need to close the exhibits on my screen and open other. Your Honor, I'm going to request to put back on the screen what was marked for identification as Exhibit WW.
Yes.
Wendy, can you see my screen again?
I can.
I'm sorry, did you say you can?
I can.
Okay. All right.
So this is number 12, right?
We were on page 12, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. Wendy, I believe just before we took a brief break, I said I was going to go through specific checks on this page. So I'm going to ask you questions, not about the entire page, but about particular checks.
Okay.
The first check on the page, I presume that is one of the payments that we discussed yesterday, but could you clarify, please?
On the left is for Katja for $400 for the taxes.
Okay. And on the right-hand column, partway down, there's check 9232. Can you tell me what that is for?
That is for the front hall. Elm Park Flooring is Mark Foglietti's company.
Now, when you say the front hall, is that the tile? I'm sorry, I might start with the reverb.
Yeah.
When you say front hall, is that the photograph we looked at of the tile by the front door?
Correct.
And is this check a check you paid for the installation of that tile?
Yes.
The very last check, actually, that's, I believe, pursuant to our previous stipulations, I don't need to ask you about that. Wendy, check 9234 and 6299. Can you tell me about those checks?
The one on the right is for fixing the, I think it was the dryer. My writing's terrible. The dryer, and same company, repairing something in the home.
Do you recognize the name on that check?
The Swampscott refrigeration, yes.
Is that
belonged to one of my helpers? Her husband worked for that company.
And what type of work does Swampscott refrigeration perform?
They repair like big freezers in restaurants and things like that. Electrical.
And you believe that, sorry, and you believe that Swampscott refrigeration fixed a vent in your house?
Yeah, set up the dryer downstairs. I don't remember roughly the other one on the left, exactly what he did, but same type of thing. I hired them to help me repair something in my home.
I'm going to zoom in a little further.
Okay.
Is this the check 6299 that you said you were unsure of?
Yeah, I don't remember what I wrote on the bottom. I can't really see.
Can you read the memo on that check?
I can't read my writing.
That's okay.
I can't.
Your Honor, from page 12 of this exhibit, I would like to add checks number 6292, 9232, 9234, 6299, and 9225 to the record.
Your Honor, we would object to 6299 as the witness has testified that she does not recall what it is for. And as to 9225, just subject to the stipulation that it comes in as the check, but without the amount.
Right, so that's sustained with respect to 6299. So page 12 is omitted as exhibit 29-12 for checks 6292, 9232, 9234, and 9225.
Wendy, on page 13 of this exhibit, I believe we've already talked about in a previous page, the photo on the left, but can you tell me what we're looking at in the photo on the right?
The new cabinets I purchased at Lowe's.
And do you know approximately when these new cabinets were purchased?
Yes, the year 2000.
And did you purchase these cabinets?
I did.
And did you have them installed?
No, I did it.
Okay, you installed them.
Yep.
I presume this was before your accident?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'd like to add the photograph on the right. Actually, Your Honor, I'd like to add both photographs to the record. I believe the one on the left is a more complete version of one we've already seen, but both photographs minus the writings on page 13.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 13 is admitted as exhibit 29-13.
Wendy, I'm now on page 14. Can you tell me what we're looking at in this photograph?
The other part of the cabinets that I installed and new stove.
And approximately when was this new stove purchased?
2018.
Did you purchase this new stove?
Yes.
And why did you purchase this new stove?
Just to replace the other one, and this is a convection stove. It's more efficient. I like it.
Do you recall where you purchased this stove from?
Sears.
And you paid for this stove?
I did.
Your Honor, I'd like to add the photograph from page 14 onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 14 is omitted as exhibit 29-14.
Wendy, on page 15, can you tell me what we're looking at in this photo?
On the faucet in the kitchen.
And did you purchase this faucet in the kitchen?
I did.
Do you recall when you purchased this faucet in the kitchen?
I'm going to say 4 years ago.
Did you pay for this faucet?
I did.
Did you pay for someone to install this faucet?
Yes.
And do you recall who you paid to install this faucet?
Tim Carrigan.
Has Tim Carrigan performed any other work on the property?
Yes, he's done some plumbing, installed toilets, replaced some piping downstairs, installed my vanity, my sink and vanity in the bathroom, repaired, put in new disposals, 2 of them, and a few other faucets. They seem to break.
Is Tim Carrigan a plumber?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to enter page 15 onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 15 is admitted as Exhibit 29-15.
Wendy, I'm on page 16. Can you tell me what we're looking at in this document?
My Capital One, let's see, and it looks like things I've purchased for my home, receipts.
I'm also going to scroll through and let you look at the next page. I believe it's part of the same document.
Okay.
Are you now more clear about what this document is?
Could you scroll back? Is it? Yeah, the sink is on there. I mean, the faucet's on there. Yeah, that's the charges on my charge card for the faucet.
And can you tell me where you see those charges for the faucet on here?
The Home Depot, the $92 and $35 must have been something else. Something else I purchased.
Which one of those? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Which one of those two numbers is for the faucet?
The 92.
Your Honor, I'd like to add pages 16 and 17 to the record, less the notations.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, 16 and 17 are admitted as exhibits 29-16 and 29-17.
Wendy, I'm on page 18, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but did we talk about this check yesterday?
Yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Tim Carrigan, yes.
Okay, and I'm going to skip page 18. Wendy, the photograph on page 19, what are we looking at in this photograph?
That is the new pipe for the return from my sink out to the street. The garbage disposal. It used to be cast iron, and Tim replaced it.
Why did Tim replace this pipe?
The old one was terrible. It kept clogging up every time we ran the disposal. It got really, it was down there for, I don't even know, 40 years.
And you said you paid for this pipe's replacement?
I did.
And that was Tim Carrigan again?
Yes.
That performed the work?
Correct.
And when I asked you before if you paid for this, I meant, did you pay for the material and the labor?
I would imagine I paid for both, yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to add page 19 onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
19 is exhibit 29-19. Which pipe are you referring to? I see 3.
Oh, yes, Wendy, sorry about that. Can you tell me which pipe was replaced by Tim Carrigan in this photograph?
The bright white one. The one
in the middle.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to skip page 20 and 21. Wendy, on page 22, can you tell me what we're looking at in these photographs?
The upstairs bathroom.
And what work have you done in the upstairs bathroom since you've lived there?
I replaced everything, the tub, the shower heads, the sink, the cabinet, the floor. the toilets, the wall paneling, the window.
Did you redo this upstairs bathroom all at once, or were these things that happened incrementally over time?
The tub, the floor, and the sink were done at the same time, and the wall, like and the beading around the wall, the wood trim, that was all done pretty much at the same time.
And approximately when was the tub and the floor, the sink, and the wall done?
In 98.
And approximately when was the toilet done?
The toilet was done, I'm going to say I've had 3 toilets up there over the past 38 years. The latest one was probably done 5 years ago.
And out of the improvements that you just listed, can you tell me which of those materials you paid for?
All of them.
And did you also pay for the installation of all of them?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to add just the photographs from page 22 onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 22 is admitted as Exhibit 29-22.
Wendy, is page 23 just a picture of a different angle of the same bathroom we just talked about?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to skip 23. Wendy, can you tell me what we're looking at on page 24?
The fire alarm, when you open up my cellar door, it's up on the left. The smoke alarm.
I will reorient the page. I believe it needs to be. Is that the correct orientation?
Yes.
And did you replace this fire alarm?
I did.
Or sorry, smoke alarm, I presume.
Yes.
And approximately when did you replace this smoke alarm?
Just recently, a few years ago. I think 3 years ago.
And did you pay for the smoke alarm?
I did.
And who installed it for you?
One of my helpers.
Your Honor, I'd like to add the photographs, page 24, into exhibit as part of exhibit 29.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 24 is admitted as Exhibit 29-24.
Wendy, can you tell me what document we're looking at on page 25? And I can scroll down if you need.
Yep, that's a receipt for one of the smoke alarms. It's like I bought it on Amazon, I think.
And can you tell from this document when this was purchased?
2013.
And did you pay for the smoke alarm?
I did.
Your Honor, I'd like to add page 25 onto the record as part of exhibit 29.
Your Honor, subject to the stipulation that none of the handwritten notes come in, we have no objection.
Okay, number 25 submitted as Exhibit 29-25.
Wendy, page 26, what is in this photograph?
That is the dishwasher in my kitchen.
When was this dishwasher installed? Do you know?
Just recently, I'm going to say 2017.
Did you purchase this dishwasher?
I did.
Did you pay for its installation?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to add just the photograph from page 26 as part of exhibit 29.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 26 is admitted as Exhibit 29-26.
Wendy, can you tell me what we're looking at this document on page 27?
That's the receipt from Sears for the dishwasher.
And it looks like it printed kind of strange. Did you get this receipt offline?
Yeah, I got it offline and it wasn't coming out very well. Their website was not working at all, especially if you tried to print something out like from years previous.
And I see your name on this printout. Were you logged in to their website when you printed this?
Yes.
And is this a representation of your account with Sears?
Yes, it is.
And can you tell me how much you spent on the dishwasher?
$449.99.
And as you stated previously, you paid for this dishwasher?
I did.
Your Honor, I'd like to add page 27 to be part of Exhibit 29 minus the notations.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 27 is admitted as Exhibit 29-27.
Wendy, on page 28, is this a different angle of the same stove we've already talked about?
Yes.
Wendy, can you tell me what we're looking at on page 29?
Again, that's the Sears website and the receipt for the stove.
And did you purchase the stove?
I did.
And did you log into the Sears website to see this invoice?
I did.
And you printed this invoice from their website?
Yes.
And can you tell me how much you spent on this stove?
$699.99.
Do you recall approximately when you purchased the stove?
Yeah, 2017.
Your Honor, I'd like to add page 29 to the record, less the notations.
No objection, Your Honor.
So number 29 is submitted as Exhibit 29-29.
Wendy, can you tell me what we're looking at in this photograph on page 30?
And that's my refrigerator.
And how old is this refrigerator?
Roughly the same time, 2016.
Did you purchase this refrigerator?
I did.
Where did you purchase this refrigerator from?
From Sears.
And did you pay for them to deliver it?
I did.
And how many refrigerators have you purchased since you've been at the property?
Three.
Do you recall approximately when you purchased the other two?
I purchased one a few years previous to this, but realized it was too small. So I replaced it with this one. And then over the last few years, I had another side-by-side, probably around 2010. And then one before it, I don't remember. Probably the one I bought that I came into the house with.
Your Honor, I'd like to add page 30 onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 30 is admitted as Exhibit 29-30.
Wendy, I'm going to scroll through the next two pages together because I believe they're part of the same document, and let me know when you've had a chance to look at them.
Okay. That's payment for the refrigerator on my Capital One card.
Can you tell me which part of the increase you're looking at?
The Sears at $804.67.
And based on this document, can you tell what year this was purchased in?
2018.
Your Honor, I'd like to add pages 31 and 32 to the record, less the notation.
No objection, Your Honor.
So 31 and 32 admitted as exhibits 29-30 and 29 sorry, admitted as exhibits 29-31 and 29-32.
Wendy, on page 33, is this a picture, a different angle of the same toilet we've already looked at?
Yes, I purchased the new, it's like a bidet, they call it.
I'm gonna skip through page 33. Wendy, I'm on page 34. Can you tell me what we're looking at in this document?
That's the receipt for the top of that toilet. I had to replace it.
And what was there before you replaced it?
There was another one. My brother introduced me to it. He bought me one for Christmas, and he said it would help me out greatly by giving me a little bit of independence by not having someone help me in the bathroom all the time. And over the years, it just, I don't know, something happened to it. It didn't work anymore, so I had to replace it. So I bought one similar.
And did you purchase this bidet?
I did.
And is this a printout of that order?
It is.
Printout of that what?
Order?
Thank you.
Of course. And is the total on the bottom of this order the amount you paid for it?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'd like to add page 34 onto the record, less the notations.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 34 is admitted as exhibit 29-34.
I'm going to skip 35. And Wendy, the pictures on page 36, can you tell me what we're looking at?
That's the new sink and vanity in my downstairs bathroom.
And approximately when were these installed?
A few years ago, 2019.
And did you pay for this new sink and vanity?
I did.
And did you pay for its installation?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to add the photographs of page 36 onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
Number 36 is admitted as exhibit 29-36.
Wendy, I'm going to scroll through the next few pages. I believe they're all part of the same document.
Okay.
And I believe that is the last page of this document. Now I'm going to scroll back to the top. Wendy, this series of pages starting at 30.
You have to tell me the numbers of the pages.
Yeah, yes, Your Honor. Wendy, this series of pages starting at page 37 of this exhibit and going through to 42, can you tell me what we're looking at in this document?
That's a receipt for the downstairs sink and vanity and faucet to go along with it.
And was this printed after you ordered it?
Yes. Yeah, I printed it out.
And did you pay for this sink and vanity and faucet?
I did.
And is this the one you were just referring to in the previous picture?
Yes, I ordered it on the Home Depot website.
And do you know how much this total order cost based on this invoice?
$812.07.
Your Honor, I'd like to add less than notations, pages 37 through 42 to the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
So pages 37 through 42 are admitted as exhibit 29-37.
Wendy, on page 43, is this a different angle of the same attic door that we've already discussed?
Yes.
And Wendy, page 44, is this picture a different angle of the same vanity that we just discussed?
Yes.
And Wendy, page 45, same question. Is this the same vanity we just discussed?
Yes.
Wendy, page 46, can you tell me what we're looking at in this photograph?
The tree company cutting down the trees in the backyard, the branches.
And did you hire this tree company?
I did.
Is this the tree that we talked about yesterday that was coming over your fence?
Yes.
And based on this picture, do you know approximately when this tree work was done?
Maybe 2016.
Your Honor, I'd like to add page 46 onto the record.
No objection, Your Honor.
Right, number 46 is admitted as exhibit 29-46.
Wendy, page 52, is this a different angle of the tile floor by your front door?
Yes.
I'm not sure it goes here, but I'll ask anyway. Wendy, page 55, it looks like this photograph might have slipped into this packet, but can you tell me what we're looking at in this photograph?
That's my mom. We decorated her for Christmas.
Do you recall what year this photo was taken?
I would say 2018.
And why is it that you think this was taken in 2018?
Just a few years ago. She died 2 years ago. So a little before that. Maybe it was 20. I don't know. I couldn't tell you for sure. I was there all the time. So.
Understood. Your Honor, it's not really in line with this line of questioning, but I would like to add page 55 onto the record.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Your Honor.
I mean, Sure, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. But yeah, overall, Exhibit 55 is admitted as Exhibit 29-55.
All right. Your Honor, I'm going to stop sharing this document, but my computer has done that thing again where the button has disappeared.
Okay,
I don't know if you're,
here you go.
there we go. Thank you for the
So
assistance.
why don't, this is a good, so we're done with this, with these series of photographs, this WW or whatever it was, right?
Yes, Your Honor, that was the last, I think, of what's going to be, I guess I'll call them the cumbersome exhibits.
Okay, well, it's a good time for a break. Let's come back at 11:25.
Thank you, Your Honor. Wendy, just make sure you mute your microphone.
Your Honor,
Yes,
may I ask you a question from something that came up yesterday?
sure.
You referred to a judicial Supreme Court adoption of, and I heard tarding,
Patty,
and it had,
P-A-T-T-Y.
thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Are we all set?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then you may continue, counsel.
Wendy, we just finished talking about lots of improvements that you've made to the property while you've been living there. And a lot of the major ones, we'll strike that, let me start over. A lot of the improvements occurred shortly after your accident. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe you've already testified that those improvements were the ramp, primarily the bathroom, making it accessible. And I don't think we've talked about your bedroom. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The bedroom used to be my dining room.
And what modifications were done to the dining room to make it a bedroom?
Let's see. They put up a petition between the living room, because you could used to be able to walk right through into the living room, into the dining room, and then back into the kitchen. They blocked it off and made a bathroom out of the dining room and just put a wall up. They put sliding doors on.
Before that work, was there a bathroom on the first floor?
There was a toilet and a sink, like a little small water closet type of deal.
And I'll refer to it kind of as this first wave of work after your accident. Did all of these things happen around the same time? The ramp, the bathroom, the bedroom?
Yes, within 3 months, like June or July, August, and it was completed by September.
Now, when you say within 3 months, are you referring to 3 months of your accident?
Yes, in 2004, took them quite a few weeks to do everything.
And where were you while this work was being performed?
In Boston Medical.
Was anyone still living at your house during that time?
Yeah, my kids were here.
And how old were your kids at that time?
Kim was 22, so she was taking care of the boys, and she had her son also, who was 2 years old. And the boys just a few years younger than her. TJ was 12 and Levi was 16.
After your accident, but before this work was done, did you have to ask for Doris's permission to perform this work?
No.
Did Doris know that this work was being performed?
I'm not sure at the time, but eventually she did.
Was Doris able to visit you in the hospital at that time?
No, I don't remember. She fell. I think she came into the hospital once.
But you don't recall if this work was ever discussed with her?
No.
But you are certain that you didn't have to ask her permission to perform this work?
Correct.
Wendy, what is your relationship to Bruce Erickson?
He's my brother.
And is he an older or younger brother?
Older. 15 years older.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Your answer was?
15 years older.
Wendy, did you ever work with or for Bruce?
I worked with him and for him.
When did you work with him?
83, I believe, around that time.
And where was it that you worked with him?
Shetland Properties. It was a real estate, like an industrial real estate park. And I was the receptionist.
Did Bruce help you get this job?
Probably. He referred me to go there and ask for a position.
When you say he referred you, did he tell you to go there and ask for a position?
Yes.
And what did you do for this real estate company?
I was in the main office. I was a receptionist. I answered all the phones and did all the communication work with the guys on the property, the maintenance crew. We had like a two-way radio on my desk. And
when did you work for Bruce?
1994, 95, around there started.
And what company was it that you worked for?
He had his own investment company.
What was the name of that investment company?
It was Enterprise.
And what did you do at Enterprise Investment?
I started out with answering the phones and doing any office work that anyone needed me to assist them with, the mailing or shipping, filing. I also made everyone lunch. They had a little kitchen there, so I cooked everyone lunch every day. I just thought they used to give me money to go get subs for them, and I just thought it was such a waste of money. I said, the $60 I could feed you all week. So I went shopping before and grabbed some food on the way to work. And then I did tons of stuff outside. They bought me a phone where I could go outside and still answer the phone, still do my job, but gardening and landscaping and everything. I even washed their cars.
Where was the office for this company?
In Bruce's home.
Do you recall the address?
886 Hale Street, Beverly Farms, Massachusetts.
So when you say that they got you a phone to go outside and you could do things like yard work and wash cars, were you doing yard work at Bruce's personal house?
Yes.
Did he have a home office set up in his house?
Yes, when he came back from his other company, his wife's business, he set up another office upstairs.
Now, when you say his other company, his wife's business, what are you referring to?
He would export products to Russia, like pickles, Campbell's soup.
Do you recall the name of that company?
US Tasty Products.
And that company primarily, you said, exported food to Russia?
Yeah, like pickles, soup, anything with a long shelf life.
So I'm going to get back to Enterprise Investment. What type of work did Bruce do at this company?
He managed people's portfolios, investing in their money, just trading it amongst the mutual funds according to the market.
Did your brother Bruce have a partner in this enterprise?
Yes, his partner, Bruce Corwin.
Were they each responsible for investments?
I would imagine.
Do you know how much money Enterprise Investment was in charge of managing?
I don't know how much they have exactly under, it was a lot of money under ownership. I really don't know exactly. Billions of dollars.
And obviously when I ask you how much money they had under management, I just meant during your employment there.
Oh, I'm not quite sure.
Okay. When did you stop working for Bruce's company?
February of 2004.
And why did you stop working for Bruce's company at that time?
I got laid off.
Was that before your accident?
Yes.
Did Bruce give you a reason why you were laid off?
He said he was closing his company down.
At that time, did you know why he was closing his company down?
No.
Did you ever rely on Bruce for financial advice?
Yeah, for my 401k, I did. When I got laid off, I left it under his management.
What do you mean you left it under his management? Was he authorized to transact that account?
Yes.
Do you recall what financial institution your 401k is held with?
Guggenheim Investments.
Is Bruce still authorized to transact on this account?
No.
When was he removed as an authorized individual?
Shortly after my mother died, and when I got the phone call saying he wanted me to buy my house.
Do you know if anyone else in your immediate family ever invested money with Bruce or his company?
I know my parents did, and his sons worked there, so I imagine they had an account also.
So just to clarify a little bit, you're certain that your parents invested money with Bruce's business, and you think Bruce's sons may have?
Yeah, they had, if they worked, they had a 401k, so I imagine they were involved in the 401k just like I was. So
now, when you say Bruce's children, you're not referring to Danielle and Ava, who are parties of this suit, correct?
No, my nephews worked with me.
When you say worked with me, do you mean at Bruce's company?
Yes.
And which nephews were those?
Rob Erickson and Noah Erickson.
Your Honor, I'd like to share my screen and put up Exhibit 21. Wendy, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And I'll represent to you that the notes on the top just indicate that there has been a portion of this document removed as its correspondence directly between a client and an attorney.
Okay.
But from everything below that notation, do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
And what is this document?
That's from my brother asking me to look at the purchase agreement that he sent to buy my home.
Was there an attachment to this email?
Yes, it was a form.
I'm going to scroll down to page 2 and zoom in. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is this document?
He wanted me to agree to that. It's for $425,000.
Now, when you say he wanted me to agree to that, can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, he wanted me to buy my home. At the time, I was shocked and upset at that was even supposed to take place. Yeah, he wanted me to agree to that as soon as possible and get the ball rolling as soon as possible. By September, I think he mentioned.
What you're looking at on page 2, is this what was attached to the email on the previous page?
Yes.
Was this document in this form when you received it? And by that, I mean, was it filled out?
Yes.
And are these the numbers that were filled out that was sent to you as part of this email on the first page?
Yes.
Your Honor, I apologize. My computer is, every time I share a screen, as soon as I start going, the little box that lets me stop sharing disappears.
Okay, I'll take it down.
Thank you. Wendy, around the time your mother passed away, were you in communication with Bruce?
Yes.
And how would you communicate with Bruce?
Over the phone or just texting.
Do you recall if you sent and received text from Bruce shortly after your mother passed away?
Yes, we were organizing like the obituaries, going back and forth what to say and getting that ready and talking about, well, at the end where her ashes were and I was to pick them up.
So at first the messages were cordial?
Yes.
And after your mother passed away, did you receive any other text messages from Bruce?
Yeah, he just, that keep the ball rolling one. And then he questioned why I had, well, Tina asked Kelly to get involved. He questioned that in another text. I think that was it.
Your Honor, I'd like to mark for identification exhibit TT.
Okay.
Wendy, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Can you tell me what it is that we're looking at? And if you need me to scroll, just let me know.
Yeah, that's from my brother to me. Because I didn't answer to him. He wanted me to ask the kids to put their house in their name. And at first I said, sure. And then he sent me that form. And then I realized, I said, you want me to buy it? And that's when I called Levi and his wife, and they told me not to talk to him anymore.
So there's a lot there. There's a lot there. I'm going to go through it one by one. You said initially Bruce asked if you could put the house in your children's name. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what did you think he meant by that?
Exactly that. I thought he would transfer the house into one of the kids' name from my mom.
And when did you realize that's not what he meant?
When he started talking about how much it would cost, and he would send me the form that I needed to move that along.
I'm going to scroll through so you can see all 3 pages of this exhibit. Let me know when you're done reading.
Oh, I asked him why he thought that the house needed to be sold. I thought I gave him enough taxes. That's what I said.
Wendy, if you could just go through and read it, I'll ask you questions after you've had a chance to look at it.
Okay. All right. Yep. Okay.
So when we were just speaking a moment ago, the document that you just looked through, is this an accurate copy of the text messages that we were just talking about?
Yes.
And where did this document come from? Where did these images come from?
Bruce sent that to me. June 1st. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Let me ask it slightly different. The format that this document is in.
It's a text.
Okay. Did you take a screenshot of your text thread between yourself and Bruce?
I believe so. Yes, that's how I got that. Mm-hmm.
And are these all of the texts between this period between you and Bruce?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to add onto the record what's been marked for identification as TT, less the notations.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, TT submitted as exhibit 33.
So Wendy, on page 1 of this exhibit, can you tell me what that first text message, what you believe that to mean?
My brother questioning why I didn't answer him. And I think Mass Health, I don't know why he brought that into the discussion of Mass Health is my medical insurance, and they only pay for my medical insurance. They would never pay a mortgage. And then my return text was still asking the kids. And then I said, what if none can do it?
Wendy, do you know why Bruce thought Mass Health could pay your mortgage?
Maybe he thought I was on welfare.
Objection, Your Honor.
Something.
Asking for Bruce's state of mind and thoughts.
Sustains. You can rephrase the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Wendy, why did you believe that Bruce was asking about Mass Health's ability to pay your mortgage?
I believe he was just confused on what Mass Health actually is.
Wendy, on the second page, and just for clarification, the text bubbles that are filled in with black, are those your responses?
Yes.
And the text that appears black on the white background, are those Bruce's texts?
Yes.
The text in the middle of this thread that appears to be from Bruce, do you know when that text was sent?
June 1st.
And I believe you previously testified that your mother passed away on May 21st. Is that correct?
Yes, May 21st, 2020.
And in your, it appears to be your second response text on that page. What did you mean by that?
Bruce wanted me to ask the kids if they could put the house in one of my kids, you know, in their name, in one of them.
And after the text that says, then we'll have to put it on the market ASAP, what was your, what did you mean by your response to that?
I asked him why do I not cover the taxes, or did they go up? I was just so upset back then. I thought I was paying for the taxes on my house.
Did you think that Bruce was looking for more money?
Oh, I thought the taxes were going up, and I don't know. I guess so.
Wendy, do you recall getting the two messages on the third page of this exhibit?
Yes.
And can you tell from this document when those text messages were sent?
June 2nd, 2020.
And both of these text messages are all part of the same string, and you believe these to be from Bruce?
Yes.
Your Honor, I apologize. Can you stop my screen share? Thank you.
That's my office phone, don't worry.
Wendy, how was your mother's health after your father passed away?
She was very anxious and nervous and paranoid, upset, worried.
And what year did your father pass away?
1993.
Did your mother work during her life?
No, she was pretty much a stay-at-home mom.
Do you know approximately how long your parents were married before your father passed away?
I think they got married in the 40s. So, long time.
Did you ever witness anything that caused you concern regarding your mother's health?
Say that again.
Did you ever witness anything that caused you concern regarding your mother's health?
Oh gosh. She used to think people are coming in her house all the time, calling the police constantly, calling my sister, calling me, saying things were missing. And actually her neighbor was this president of the senior center, and I believe he called my sister a few times regarding her behavior.
Do you know what type of, sorry, do you know what type of?
Your Honor, could we have a brief sidebar?
Sure. Okay, you may continue, counsel.
Thank you. So Wendy, just a moment ago, I believe you had mentioned that your mother's neighbor had contacted either you or your sister about some of your mother's behaviors. And I was asking, I believe, for you to elaborate on that.
He was the president of the senior center in Danvers, and he lived next to her. So he was just wondering why the police were there all the time and a lot of commotion going on. So I know he communicated. I wasn't over there at the time, but I'm pretty sure he communicated with my sister. And then the police psychologist was notified to go over to my mom after it repeatedly happening for a long time. Like they probably got sick of it after a couple of years of her just calling for no reason. Nothing was ever missing or.
During the
Your Honor, move to strike as that testimony appears to be about a conversation that her neighbor had with her sister. And there's no foundation for how she knew about that or the contents of those communications.
Motion to strike allowed. So you're saying. Go ahead.
Wendy, what is your sister's name?
Gail Erickson O'Connell, sorry.
So I presume you meant her maiden name was Gail Erickson.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she married and her married name was Gail O'Connell?
Correct.
Okay. Is Gail O'Connell still alive?
No, she passed away.
When did your sister pass away?
2016, April 23rd of 2016.
Were you and your sister Gail close?
For a long time, yes.
And where did your sister Gail live?
In Connecticut.
Did you and your sister Gail talk about your mother?
Yes, we were always worried about her state of mind towards after my dad died. It got worse.
Did you and your sister Gail talk about any of the care that your mother received?
At what time? What do you mean?
We'll start with from the period. Well, actually, strike that. Let me go back a little bit. A moment ago, you were talking about a neighbor of your mother's. What address were you referring to that your mother lived at?
123 Village Post Road in Danvers. It's a condo.
So that was also in Danvers?
Yes.
And is that where your mother lived when your father passed away?
Yes.
And when did your mother leave that property?
2005, I believe.
So from the time your father passed to 2005, did you and your sister Gail talk about your mother's health?
Yes, we did.
And at that time period, did you stay in close contact?
Yes.
And if someone had called your sister regarding your mother, is there any other way that you would have learned of it except through conversations with Gail?
I don't think so.
And did Gail contact you to talk about this incident with the Danvers police?
Yes.
Do you recall that conversation?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when that conversation took place?
I would say 90, let's say at least 90, 96, 97. Yeah, I would say more like 97.
So the incident that you're referring to is, you believe, in 1997 approximately, the Danvers police were called to your mother's house on several occasions?
Yeah, starting in 95, I know she was writing down that she was calling the police and listing the items missing or whatever was going on. And I think 97, they sent a psychologist, their police department sent their psychologist over to evaluate her.
And how did you learn that a police psychologist was sent to your mother's house?
My sister told me.
And were there any meetings with the police psychologist?
Yes, my sister lived in Connecticut, so the police called her to talk about, evaluating her. So they did that, and then they came to my house. She made arrangements for everyone to come over here to discuss their findings.
So when you say—
Your Honor, move to strike that testimony about the police psychologist, as it's now double hearsay. It's a phone call to Gail and then a phone call to Wendy from there.
Well, Your Honor, what I'm trying to get to is there was a meeting that took place at Wendy's house that I think is relevant, and she had just started to testify about that.
Yeah, now with respect to Gail, she's deceased. Finding the statements I'm hearing about were made in good faith. Unfortunately, what the police psychologist said to her mom is not necessarily personal knowledge. But we can skip ahead and ask about the meeting that Ms. Erickson here had with the police psychologist.
Your Honor, the only thing I would point out is statements made for the purpose of medical diagnoses or treatment, describing medical history, pain, symptoms, or cause, I believe are an accepted exception to the hearsay rule.
Yes, but we got to find out who said them.
Understood, Your Honor.
And in what circumstance, because we've got several layers of non-present witnesses.
Understood, Your Honor.
So why don't you go? Ms. Erickson has disclosed there was a meeting she actually had.
Wendy,
So get the details on that before we hear what they said.
Wendy, can you tell me who was present at this meeting with the Danvers police psychologist?
The psychologist, an officer, my sister, and I.
And where did this meeting take place?
In my living room.
And approximately
When is this?
When? I'm sorry.
Yeah, when?
1997.
Okay.
Had you had any conversations with the Danvers police prior to this meeting?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
And what was discussed at this meeting?
Well, they evaluated my mom and they said that she's very anxious, very worried, that she was narcissistic, and anything she would be complaining about, we were to look at the time on the calendar that's when she would have episodes of her, outbursts. It would be somebody like right before someone's birthday or an anniversary. They said that's when the phone calls to the police would happen. They said that we should go to Al-Anon to learn how to deal with her.
Did they?
Motion to strike, Your Honor. That's all hearsay testimony.
I am going to admit it, but because based on that's what Ms. Erickson was told. It's not necessarily based on what she was told. That's not so not necessarily for the truth of the matter. In other words, I'm not sure I can take it as a diagnosis. You can argue that a little more to me. But certainly, there was a meeting, she was told that. She's remembering what she was told. I'll take that.
Wendy, do you recall the police psychologist telling you why they thought Al-Anon would be a good way to deal with this?
Probably because he would say you would never know how she was going to be. When you went to visit her or whatever, you didn't know if she was going to be one way or upset or, anxious, crazy.
So he wasn't, sorry. So he wasn't trying to say your mother was an alcoholic. He just said that Al-Anon could be a way for you to learn how to cope.
How to cope with it, yeah.
Wendy, is there a record of this meeting with the Danvers police?
There was, they don't keep it past so many years. They couldn't retrieve it for me.
Did you try to obtain that record from the Danvers police?
I did. I did a few times to ask a few different people, and they said it didn't go back, I think 7 years. That's it.
Did the Danvers Police Department indicate that records were routinely destroyed after that time?
Objection, Your Honor. That's hearsay testimony.
Yes, sustained.
Wendy, do you know why the records didn't exist?
I believe they, when I talked to the officer, he said they just don't keep them anymore.
Move to strike, still hearsay, Your Honor.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Wendy, did your mother ever write notes or keep a journal?
Yes, she would write things down because she didn't remember all the time, or she wanted to remember.
Have you ever seen any writings of your mother's?
Yes.
Would you recognize your mother's handwriting if you saw it?
Yeah, probably.
Did Doris give you any of her writings?
When I moved her into the nursing home, she had a bunch of papers and files, and I'd save them.
Did she ask you to hold them? Did she ask you to hold on to those files?
I don't remember.
Have you recently found any of those writings of Doris?
Yes, I found them in my file. After she passed away, I was looking for things that she gave me, sentimental reasons.
So I presume you read them?
Yes.
Sorry, I presume you.
Read them?
Well, thank you.
Of course. Do you recall what those writings were about?
Just her thoughts. She was sad, all the things she couldn't do anymore after she broke her hip. She was in Bruce's house and kind of secluded there. She didn't like the medicine she was on, and basically, you know, she was just upset.
Did you see any writings about the police interactions?
Oh yes, there was a page of that. Yep, she'd write down what she had missing all the time. She'd list them, and or where she was going, or who she was with, and then who came into her house which day, and then the next day things were missing. She'd write it all down.
Your Honor, move to strike all this testimony. He's asking her to describe writings that apparently they've recently discovered without producing the writings.
Actually, if you just give me a moment, Your Honor, I'm just trying to authenticate and lay the foundation for documents that have been disclosed and are about to be shared on my screen.
In that case, provided he's going to show them, you know.
Yeah, but if you're going to show them, let's not have a long descriptions of the fact that there's the writings. We should get to seeing them.
Understood, Your Honor. I was just trying to avoid a future objection.
Well, okay.
Well, in that case, I will cut to it.
All right.
Your Honor, I'd like to mark for identification Exhibit RR.
Okay.
Wendy, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Let me scroll through the entire document real quick. I won't stop long enough, so I'm going to ask you about it to read it, but just let me. So it's a 6-page document. I'm going to scroll through the whole thing. And I'll ask you again, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is this document?
That's looks like my mother's writing her itinerary and everything else that was going on at the time.
And why do you believe this to be your mother's writing?
Because I got those papers from her home, and it's everything she was doing. I recognize her writing.
Your Honor, may we have a brief sidebar?
Sure.
The little bubble that lets me go into the next room disappeared before I could click it. Madam Clerk, if you could send me the invitation again, I would appreciate it.
Waiting for you to join.
I do not have the button that lets me join. It usually pops right up on my screen. Is it possible to re-invite me? I apologize. Before I could click the button, it disappeared.
Oh, all right. We'll try it again. We'll try the breakout room again. All right, counsel, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Wendy, can you see my screen?
Yes.
So I'm on the first page of what's been marked for identification as Exhibit RR. The date on this document, is that around the time of the what you were referring to, the story with the Danvers police?
Yes.
And have you made any notes or comments or written anything on these documents?
No.
And this is how you found these documents?
Exactly.
And I'm on page 2 now. Based on the writings on this page, can you tell approximately when this document was drafted?
Looks like November of '94 and 6 months and 95. I'm gonna say 1995, 6 months through January.
Does this document appear to be multiple entries?
I'm trying to, things missing. Through 6 months, January, Monday night. Yeah, she did it at different times.
And in the middle of page 2, do you see where it says things missing?
Yes.
Is this what you were referring to when your mother would document things that would go missing?
Yeah, and the name at the top, Frank, what was his last name? Lutz. That's who she was always accusing. Someone, he was coming to take her things. If he stayed over, it's like things were missing, or bank book, glasses, just random. I never understood where she was coming from, or the things that were listed that someone would take, like her eyeglasses. It's just.
And what was her relationship with Frank?
She met him at a dance. She would go dancing at night at the dance clubs for the seniors.
Was she dating Frank?
I think so. She was with him a lot. I guess you could call it dating.
I'm now on page 3. Do you recognize any of the names or entries on this page?
Mary. No. Mary McLaughlin. It must have been her friend.
Do you see at the top of the page the red text that's circled?
Over the hill. Okay.
Does that name, let's strike that.
Mary McLaughlin, no.
Do you recognize the text that's circled in red?
No.
Do you see underneath where it says, appears to have a line and says witness?
Am I looking at the right page?
You have your cursor, you could point to
Yep.
the cursor.
Sorry. Yes. So before, when I was referring to the circled text, I was referring to this circle.
Oh, okay. I see. Over Mary McLaughlin. I didn't recognize that word. Okay.
And then this, just now, the question I asked was this line down to this one.
Got you. Okay, I see it now.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know what that's referring to?
Mary McLaughlin witnessed whatever she was accusing someone of doing. Let's see, she did a lot of tours and stuff. She went with the seniors, bus ride.
That's fine. I'm gonna move.
Yeah.
I'm now on page 4.
Yes.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Do you remember anything about the entry on this page?
Yes, numerous phone calls to me from my mom.
About what?
These things were missing and they were very dear to her. And that's what the psychologist was talking about, that it would be something that's very personal to her, no value to anyone else.
Move to strike the statements of the psychologist, Your Honor. They're hearsay.
Yes, a motion to strike allowed. The statements regarding the psychologist are struck.
Wendy, just regarding conversations between you and your mother, did she talk about any of the things listed on this page?
Yeah, she said they were missing. And she said Frank took them.
And what are the things on this page that she said were missing?
The 2 cable knit sweaters, a billfold that was blue leather, change purse, 4 bank books, her ledger, and monthly payment different accounts. I guess her 2 ledger month. I don't know.
Okay.
2 ledgers. I can't make up that other different accounts. I don't know if it was 2 ledgers or 4 ledgers. But.
And you recall your mother telling you things were missing?
Yeah, I remember the sweater because she was very upset over that. And her ledgers.
I'm now on page 5. And I'm going to use the cursor to draw your attention to this entry right here. You see that?
Oh, okay.
Do you recall around that time? Well, strike that. Did your mother ever tell you that she called the police?
Yes.
Based on what your mother told you, do you know approximately how many times she called the police?
It was numerous times over the few years. In between that and the psychologist showing up.
And I'm going to use my cursor to draw your attention to this text. Is this what you were referring to when you were talking about the Frank that would spend time with your mother?
Yes. And on the 16th, it says he picked up the cake. He was around a lot.
And I'm now on page 6, the last page. And I'm going to draw your attention to this text that I'm circling.
Mm-hmm.
Does that appear to be the same name that we saw on the previous page?
Yes.
Do you know who Mary Laughlin is?
Mary Laughlin. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was her friend.
Your Honor, if you could remove this exhibit from the shared screen, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Doing anything with this?
Excuse me, Your Honor.
This document, you just marked it for identification.
Oh, you are absolutely correct. Thank you. I
Don't worry,
absolutely.
counsel, I'll remind you too if you ever forget.
There are so many documents, it slipped my mind. Yes, Your Honor, I would like to request to add what's been marked for identification as Exhibit RR to the record.
We're going to object, Your Honor, on relevance grounds. There's a lot of information in these papers that don't have anything to do with the claims or what appear to be relevant testimonies. We're going to object on relevance grounds on this document.
Okay, overruled. It's admitted as Exhibit 34.
Wendy, do you recall Doris ever having any physical injuries?
Yes, she fell and broke her hip.
And approximately when did she fall and break her hip?
I believe it was on or before my accident, 2003.
Do you know approximately what time? Do you know approximately what time of year her accident happened?
It was in November because it was icy.
And do you know where she had this fall?
She fell in Bruce's driveway.
Wendy, from your perspective, how did this affect her health?
Oh, that just compounded everything else. She was, instead of dancing 6 nights a week, she was miserable because she broke her hip and the doctor severed her sciatic nerve, like nicked it, cleaning out the arthritis. So the recovery was never, ever 100% again.
From your perspective, did Doris's health begin to deteriorate after this fall?
I would say so.
And how did it deteriorate after this fall?
Let's see, when saying she moved in with Bruce and it just cut her off from everything. Just psychologically, physically, everything.
Now, when you
move to strike, Your Honor, I'm not sure. That's getting, I think, close to a diagnosis there.
I'm going to allow that motion. I didn't think it was responsive to the question of how our health deteriorated.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Wendy, when you said, I believe you mentioned cut off from everything, were you just referring to Doris's mobility issues?
Yeah, and people, just psychologically, that's what I mean. She was not happy anymore.
Do you know when Doris moved in with Bruce and his family?
It was after my accident, close to it, 2005.
Your Honor, I'm now going to put back up on my screen Exhibit 20. Wendy, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Let me zoom in a little bit. you recognize this document?
I do.
And what is this that we're looking at?
My mother's death certificate.
Do you see on here, and I can move my cursor where it says part 1?
Cause of death. Yes.
And what were listed as the causes of Doris's death?
Acute respiratory failure, viral pneumonia, and COVID-19 infection.
And do you see where it says part 2?
Yes.
And what does it say after the term part 2? And I can zoom in if you need me to.
Underlying causes of death were hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and mood disorder.
Wendy, were you aware that Doris was diagnosed with a mood disorder prior to her death?
Yes.
And how did you know that?
From the police psychologist.
Move to strike, Your Honor, hearsay.
No, I don't, I mean, I think that's where our understanding came from. Whether it's correct or not is a different question. So I'll let that stand.
Wendy, other than from conversations with the police psychologist, do you have any other way of knowing that your mother was diagnosed with a mood disorder?
Yeah, the nursing home, the nurses and the doctors diagnosed her as well.
Move to strike, Your Honor. She's talking about specific diagnoses from medical professionals. It's hearsay. It's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having trouble with this.
Your Honor, the only thing I will point out.
I mean, let's go to sidebar. Uh-oh. There she is. Okay, great. All right, you may continue, counsel.
Wendy, did you ever meet with any of the people? Let's strike that. Let me start. Wendy, did you ever meet with any doctors or nurses at the nursing home that your mother lived at?
Yes, all the time.
How often would you meet with the doctors and nurses at the nursing home?
She had a case review like every 3 months, or maybe even less than that.
And who would be present at these case reviews?
The social worker, a doctor, and the head nurse.
Would your brother Bruce ever be present at these reviews?
No.
And at these reviews, did the doctors ever talk about medical history of your mother?
Objection, Your Honor. That's calling for hearsay testimony.
Well, I haven't heard actual facts yet. I've just heard when they talked about this. So let's find out. That's a yes or no question.
Wendy, I can restate. At these meetings that you were just discussing with the doctors at the nursing home, would they ever discuss with you medical history of Doris?
Yes.
When were these meetings? When was she in the nursing home? Ms. Erickson.
2016 to May 2020 when she passed away. It was actually like 2015. It was the very end of December of that year. So I'll just say 2016.
Okay, thank you. Continue, counsel.
Wendy, we just looked a moment ago at the death certificate of your mother, and it listed mood disorder. Did the physicians at the nursing home ever discuss with you that your mother had a medical history of mood disorder?
Yes, all the time.
Did they say any specific diagnoses when talking about your mother's medical history?
It's the same thing. She was anxious and paranoid and had outbursts.
Move to strike, Your Honor. Once again, hearsay testimony and also relevance.
Well, I don't think it's hearsay based on the exception.
Well, if I may, Your Honor, briefly,
Yeah.
The exception permits a physician to testify as to statements of a patient or as to statements of a declarant who is seeking care. It doesn't cover physicians and later statements.
I'm mistaken. This was 803.
8034, I believe. Your Honor, if I may, I see this issue coming up a couple more times throughout my questioning, and we are just shy of, I believe, our scheduled lunch break. If it would please the court, maybe we could end a little early, and I could, as well as opposing counsel, could provide very, very short briefs on this topic.
Or at least some further guidance on the rule, and I apologize for not being as familiar with it as I should be. I'll take some time to look into it as well.